Do you need to track grants for a nonprofit? Are you wondering if QuickBooks Online can meet this need? Indeed, it can, with a few modifications. First, ensure that you are using either QuickBooks Online Plus or Advanced to access a feature projects. We're going to start by going to the gear icon and clicking on it, and then we're going to click on Company Settings, and we'll scroll down to Advanced, and we'll go down to where we see projects. It's currently off, so we'll click on the pencil icon and then turn it on and click Save. We're going to make one more change. We're going to scroll up to where we see the customer label, which is currently set to customers, and we're going to click the pencil icon, and we're going to click on the drop down arrow, and we'll select donors instead, which will be more appropriate for a nonprofit organization, and then we'll click on Save, and then done. In our example, the nonprofit received a grant from the County of San Joaquin to install a playground set for kids. To add the new donor, we're going to go to Sales and then click on Donors. Please note that this was previously labeled Customers, but we made the change in the settings. And then we'll go over to New Donor, and the new donor will be County of San Joaquin, and then we'll click Save. Now that we've added the donor, let's use projects to track this grant. Go over to the column on the left and scroll down until we see projects, and then we'll click on that. And then we'll click on Start a Project. And our project name will be Playground Set. The client will be the donor for the grant, and that was County of San Joaquin. And we'll say the due date for this project is the end of this year, so December 31st of 2025. We can add additional details, but in this case, we're going to skip that as well as the task, and then we're going to click Save. The County of San Joaquin donated $6,000 to the nonprofit. Let's add the grant funds to this project. So I'm going to click on the drop-down arrow next to Add to Project, and then click on Invoice. And in the donor section, I'm going to click on the drop-down arrow. We don't want to select the donor name, County of San Joaquin. Rather, we want to select Playground Set, which is the name of the project. And the product service is County Grants, and the grant amount was $6,000. I'm going to save and close. We're not using a class, so I'm going to click Yes to continue. And then here we can see the $6,000 have been recorded. If I click on this arrow, I can see that the main income category is direct public support, and the subcategory is county grants for $6,000. You'll see where it says profit margin 100%. This is the default labeling for QuickBooks Online. However, the way we're using this, 100% means that the full amount of the funds are available for this nonprofit. The nonprofit ordered a swing set, a spiral slide, and benches from the vendor Playgrounds Are Us. Now let's add some purchases. So I'm going back to Add to Project, clicking on the drop-down arrow, and then clicking on Expense. And our payee, so this was the vendor, is Playgrounds Are Us. We use the Chase checking account, and this was on May 29th. And the category is playground equipment. And this first purchase was for a swing set for $1,500. It's not billable, so I'm going to uncheck the box because we're not passing on the expense to a customer. And for a donor project, again, we're not selecting the donor County of San Joaquin. Rather, we're selecting the name of the project, which is the playground set. We have another purchase that we made also under the expense category, playground equipment. And this was for a spiral slide for $1,800. It's not billable. We're again selecting the name of the project, Playground Set. And now I'm going to click Save and Close. We're not using a class, so I'll click Yes to continue with the save. Here we can see that the playground equipment total purchase was for $3,300. So this is leaving 45% of the grant funds still available. And now we'll make another purchase. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow again, and then click on Expense. And this was again a purchase from Playgrounds Are Us. And this was on June 1st. Again, it was playground equipment. And this was for benches. And we purchased a total of 4 benches at $200 a piece. So that was a total of $800. It's not billable to a customer. And we're selecting the name of the project, which is Playground Set. And then we'll click Save and Close. We're not using a class, so we'll continue. And now the remaining funds are 31.7% of the $6,000 for the grant. Now, if I click on Playground Equipment, I can see the individual purchases that were made for the benches, the spiral slide, and the swing set. And now we'll go back to the project details. In projects, we can run a project profitability report, which is essentially a profit and loss statement that's specifically for the grant. In the nonprofit world, this would be referred to as the statement of activity. Now that we've recorded income and expenses for this grant, let's go ahead and run a profitability report. So I'm going to click on Project Reports, and then here we have Project Profitability. We'll click on View. We're currently in the accrual accounting method. We can see the $6,000 recorded as revenue for county grants, and we have our expenses totaling $4,100 for the playground equipment, leaving $1,900 of the grant. And if I switch the accounting method to cash and run the report, you'll see that the total revenue disappears. That's because we haven't recorded the money that we received from the County of San Joaquin. So let's do that now. I'm going to click on Back to Project Details, and then Transactions. Here we have all the transactions recorded to date. And for this particular grant, I'm going to click on Receive Payment. Now, notice under Donor, I'm not going to select the actual donor, County of San Joaquin. Rather, I'm going to select the name of the project, Playground Set. And this was May 27th when we received the payment by check for a total of $6,000. So now I'll click Save and Close. Now if we go back to Project Reports and run a Project Profitability report again, using the cash method, you'll see that the $6,000 is now showing up because we've actually received the funds, and the expenses as well as the remaining funds are the same as when we ran our accrual report. Since this is a grant, we're really not concerned about profitability, so let's go ahead and rename this report. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon, and rather than Project Profitability, let's just call it Grant for Playground Set. Now let's briefly review the features within projects that may be useful for you. Let's review the tabs within a project. So here we are in the Overview tab, and we can see the income for the grant, our expenditures, and the remaining funds for this particular grant, and the percentage of the grant funds that are remaining. On the Transactions tab, we can see all of the transactions that have been recorded to date. So we have our expenses, the payment we received from the donor, as well as their initial pledge for the grant funds. Under Time Activity, this is if we're going to pay for the labor of other people associated with the grant. And under the Project Report, so we have various reports that you can run for this particular project. For the change log, it's not likely that you're going to use a project estimate because you ideally want to create a project once the grant funds are guaranteed. And on the Attachments tab, this is where you could upload receipts for purchases that you've made and the grant award letter. The project profitability report is specific to the grant. However, the income and expenses that were recorded also show up in the statement of activity, which shows the overall performance of the nonprofit.